If you thought 2018 was busy, well, 2019 isn't slowing down with over 100 games already slated for next year. I put together a list for you guys to see how packed the year is going to be. At the end, I'll also list a few games that may come to the Switch next year but haven't been specifically stated, so let us know if we missed anything and which ones you're looking forward to the most. "99 Seconds, an arcade game from Enjoy Up. Animal Crossing, a life sim from Nintendo. The Aquatic Adventure of the Last Human, a shooter from Digerati. Aragami, Shadow Edition, an action stealth game from Merge Games. Asterix and Obelix XXL 3, an action game from Microids. Atelier Lulua, The Alchemist of Garland 4, an RPG from Koei Tecmo. Away, Journey to the Unexpected, an action FPS from Playdius. Bear With Me, an adventure game from Exordium.
This whole bit again. It's growing from the sand.
Black Sad Under the Skin, another adventure game from Microids. Blaze Blue Central Fiction Special Edition, a fighting game from Arc System Works. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, an action platformer published by 505 Games. The Book of Unwritten Tales, a point-and-click adventure game from THQ Nordic.
Dreadful dangers.
Bubsy Paws on Fire, a platformer from Choice Provisions. Bury Me, My Love, from Plug-in Digital. This is a visual novel. The Caligula Effect Overdose, an RPG from NIS America. Catan Universe, a board game from Asmodee. Cecile, an action game from CyberConnect 2. Crash Team Racing, a kart racer from Activision. Crystal Crisis, a puzzle game from Nicholas. Daemon X Machina, an action game from Nintendo.
In Daemon X Machina. As a mercenary.
Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Scarlet, a sports game from Koei Tecmo. Destiny Connect, an RPG from NIS America. Digimon Survive, a strategy RPG from Bandai Namco. Doom Eternal, a first-person shooter from Bethesda. Double Cross, an action platformer from 13am Games.
Rift Agent, loaded with martial arts skills.
Dragon Quest Builders 2, a sandbox RPG from Square Enix. Dreamwalker from Code Mystics, this is a puzzle game. Ethan Meteor Hunter, a platformer from Seven Studio. Fantasy Strike, a fighting game from Serling Games.
And in Serling Games' new fighting game, Fantasy Strike.
Fate X Stellar Link, a hack and slash from Marvelous. Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, 10-2, 12, all RPGs from Square Enix. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, an action RPG from Square Enix.
Mystery Dungeon, Everybody launches this winter.
Fire Emblem Three Houses, a strategy RPG from Nintendo.
Go ahead, give me orders.
For the King, a roguelike RPG from Curve Digital. The Forbidden Arts, an action platformer from Stingbot Games. Fuga, an action game from CyberConnect 2. Gato Roboto, an action platformer from Devolver Digital. Grandia 1 and 2, JRPGs from Gung Ho. Grid Autosport, a racing game from Feral Interactive. Hellpoint, an action game from Tiny Build. Hoppico, a platformer from Merge Games. Inazuma 11 Ares, a sports RPG from Level 5. Indivisible, a platformer from 505 Games. Inside My Radio, a rhythm platformer from Steven Studio. Iron Maiden, a first-person shooter from 3D Realms. Job the Leprechaun from Herrero, a platformer. Kimono Heroes, a platformer from Mad Gear Games. La Mulana 2, a platformer from Playzen. Lapis Cross Labyrinth, an action RPG from NIS America. Lego Movie 2, the video game, an action platformer from WB Games. Lethal League Blaze, a fighting game from Team Reptile. Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, a puzzle platformer from NIS America. The Lord of the Rings, the living card game, a card game from Asmodee. Luigi's Mansion 3, an adventure game from Nintendo. Mad Age and This Guy is from Sim Fabric and is an action puzzle game. The Maid of Sker, a stealth horror game from Wales Interactive. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, an action game from Nintendo. Monster Energy Supercross 2, a racing game from Millstone. Mortal Kombat 11, a fighting game from WB Games. Munchkin, a card game from Asmodee. My Friend Pedro, an action game from Devolver Digital. My Girlfriend is a Mermaid, a visual novel from Sekai Projects. Nelke and the Legendary Alchemist, an RPG from Koei Tecmo. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, a platformer from Nintendo. The Ninja Warriors Once Again, an action game from Taito. Ninjala, an action game from Gung Ho. Onimusha Warlords, a horror hack and slash from Capcom. Our World Is Ended, a visual novel from P-Cube. Pandemic, a board game from Asmodee. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, visual novel from Capcom. Pick-a-Pix Pieces from Lightwood Games is a puzzle game. Pokemon The Next Generation, an RPG from Game Freak and Nintendo. The Princess Guide, an action RPG from NIS America. The Raven Remastered, a point-and-click adventure game from THQ Nordic. Remilor, an action game from Nicholas. Resident Evil 0, Remake, and 4 horror games from Capcom.
Why are these people? Sit freeze!
RPG Maker MV is an RPG maker from NIS America. Saints Row the Third, an action sandbox game from Deep Silver. Sega Ages Outrun, a racing game from Sega. Shakedown Hawaii, an action game from V-Blank. Shovel Knight King of Cards, a platformer from Yacht Club Games. Silver Chains, a horror game from Head Up Games. Slay the Spire, a card game from Humble Bundle. Snooker 19, it's Snooker from Ripstone. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy, an action-adventure game from THQ Nordic. Squadron 51, a shooter from LumiArts. Steins Gate Elite, a visual novel from Spike Chunsoft. Super Meat Boy Forever, a platformer from Team Meat. Super Neptunia RPG, an RPG from Idea Factory. Super Robot Wars T, a strategy RPG from Bandai Namco. Tales of Vesperia, an RPG from Bandai Namco. Team Sonic Racing, a racing game from Sega. Terraria, an action sandbox game from 505 Games. This is Pool, Vufu Studios. ToeJam and Earl, Back in the Groove, an adventure game from Adult Swim Games. Tokyo Ogre Gate, an action game from CyberConnect 2. Tokyo School Life, a visual novel from P-Cube. Town, an RPG from Game Freak.
Against invading monsters and strategically select from a variety.
Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes, an action game from Nintendo. Trials Rising, an action game from Ubisoft. Trine 4, an action game from Modus Games. Ultimate Fishing Simulator, a fishing simulator from Ultimate Games. Unruly Heroes, an action game from Magic Design. Unsung Story, a strategy RPG from Little Orbit. Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender Action, a visual novel from Sukiban Games. Vampire, an action RPG from Focus Home Interactive. Vasara HD Collection, a shooter from Cubites Interactive. Wargroove, a strategy game from Chucklefish. Xenon Racer, a racing game from Sodesco. Xenon Valkyrie Plus, a platformer from Cowcat. Y2K, a postmodern RPG, an RPG from Easebrid Games. Yoshi's Crafted World, a platformer from Nintendo. And then potentially we also have Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime, which haven't been given a release year, but maybe they will come out in 2019, we just don't know yet.